All right, welcome to another episode of Expresslane with
Kevin Stan.
And today we have a special guest, Fred.
Hi, Fred Blankenburg, artist. Artist,
yeah,
There you
right.
go,
Yeah,
man.
artist. I like that.
It's just that's what it is, and not whatever kind of art. It seems like you've done it. Really, as we were talking before we got started recording here, it's a little bit of everything from music to murals. You mentioned claymation. So how do you get into claymation?
So I was in 7th grade, and one of the classes was filmmaking, and they said, "Hey, you can do stop motion." And I made a whole diorama out of clay, and I had like this whole. I spent hours on it, and it was like a 3-minute movie at the end. I think it was called Bonehead's Mishaps. And it was kind of like, this guy named Bonehead, and he kept tripping over stuff. But at the end, I had the abominable snowman guy come, and they had to like throw rocks at it. And I built a cave. Because I'll tell you what, I loved Rudolph. The Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special, that claymation. I just loved that show when I was a kid. I could never miss that, and I still watch it. But that inspired me to really love the clay stuff. So
now, is this like you have like 30 frames a second type of deal? Like, so 30 pictures to get 1 second worth of
yeah, I think it was
movie?
It might have been like 24 frames.
Okay.
And I had like a little thing, and I would click it. So I would do like 3 frames and then move it, and then 3 frames and then move it.
Okay.
But, it wasn't anything great, but it inspired me. And then I started doing that at home. And I started making claymation at home with a Super 8 movie camera. And I just remember like starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden it would be like dark out. And I'm still like doing it. And my mom's like, "What are you doing up there? Like, what's going on?" And I'd be working on this stuff for hours and hours.
Without realizing that the sun came up and went down already, type of deal.
That happens to me now, too. I was writing a song 2 days ago, and before I knew it, it was time to pick up my kids, and I'm like, "Oh, my God, I'm late."
Just getting lost in it.
Yeah, I get totally lost in it. But that's part of being an artist.
That's what they say.
Yeah, it's part of the process, right?
I think so. I don't know if everybody's the same as me, but like, I know that I have like a different kind of brain, and I'm glad I do. Like, I wouldn't want to. I remember when I was younger, they were trying to put me on medication, like Ritalin or something like that, and but then when I was working, so I worked for 28 years for the county. And I remember my boss saying to me one time, "Hey, there's medication for this. Like, you're scattered all over the place." And I said, "Look, I'm afraid I won't be me anymore if I take that medicine. I like having these superpowers, the superpowers of thinking differently and just being able to like have ideas. And not everybody's an idea person. I'm constantly having ideas." And here's an example. One time I was driving to work, and I had an idea for a song, and I said, "Listen, I gotta turn around and go back home." And I called out sick, and I wrote a song.
You got to do it while the lightning's striking,
right?
dude. Yeah.
I was afraid I would forget it or something. I mean, this is back before they had things to record, like in your car. Now I have my phone. I can just get on it and pull over and sing it, or while I'm driving, sing the song, and then, I'll get to it later. But they didn't have that back then. So
When the lightning struck, you had to harness it right then.
You want to pull the mic a little bit closer to you?
Yeah,
it'll stretch out too.
If I don't,
there you go.
If I don't capture it somehow, then it just
disappears.
It disappears. It's kind of like you ever have a dream, and something wakes you up, and then you're like, "Man, all right, I'm going to go back to bed. I want to get back to that dream," and you can't.
No,
it's already gone.
No.
That's how, like, a creative thought is kind of like, "Oh my God, this is," if you don't get it down on paper or
it's fleeting,
or film it, all of a sudden it's gone. Or
not only that, you have a crazy dream, and you're like, "I'll definitely remember this 5 minutes later, you can't remember a damn thing about it. You're just like, I know had something cool.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. It's just, that's the way the creation, I guess, kind of is. Because I'll get it where driving around in a truck and I'm like, I think of something that makes me laugh and I'm like cracking up to myself. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I gotta like, this is so funny. I'll remember to tell this to Stan and we'll both laugh about this later. And then it just doesn't come back up. I'm like, fuck, what was that thing? It was so funny. So I like, once I start doing that, like I got a notes thing on my phone. I'm like, just like, I give myself the bullet points of whatever it was.
Still never, almost never brings back the original idea.
No, it's never like the same like level of what it was.
Yep.
I totally feel you. Yeah. So I do the same thing. I have like notes in my phone. And if I have an idea for like a movie script or something like that, there's this one, so one of the paintings that I made was a painting of a house. And we went back to the house after the house got sold, but we got to go back. It was the house's 100-year birthday. And all the people that had ever lived there came back and had a birthday cake and blew out the candles and everything.
Damn.
And I was invited because I painted the house. Like I painted a painting of it. And I thought to myself, this is a great idea for a TV show. 100-year house or whatever. Birthday.
Yeah.
100-year birthday house or whatever. And you go around the country and just, make movies about, or make a TV show about that house and invite everybody there.
It's history.
Yeah,
It'd be great, right? And then at the end, you blow out the candles, and then the credits roll. People walking around like, I did these initials over here on the. Are they still there? Oh my God, they're still here. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
My brain is always doing that, and then sometimes people are like, Hey, are you still here? And I'm like, oh, sorry. I got sidetracked. I was thinking of a thing or movie idea or a song, whatever. It's different. It's different having a creative brain.
I think there's a thing called the Akasha Records. It's like they just say that there's like a river of knowledge like floating up there, and like sometimes you get access to it, the muse or all these other things, but like it's always there. Anybody can get to it. It's just a matter of getting to it.
That noise sounded, that kind of worked with that. Like, it's like up in there in the cloud.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's somewhere, maybe, on a different plane, maybe. But sometimes some people get access to it when they're born with it. I think some people, can hit it once in their life and can never touch it again. Or some people just have that contact with, and they're artists, I think.
So I had, when I was young, I was always painting and drawing and writing stories and daydreaming. In my class in like 5th grade, I'd be writing, and the teacher would say, "What are you doing, Fred?" And I said, "I'm writing a story, and everybody in the class is in it." And the teacher was like, "Well, let's hear it. Get up in front of the class." She was trying to punish me. And I got up in front of the class, and everybody was like, "This is great. Can you keep writing more?"
Damn.
And then next thing I know, I was like writing another story. Every week I got to write another story about this, what was the bad guy? I can't even remember who they were, but all the kids in the class were like beating up this monster, and it was one kid named Chris, and one, like I picked all the kids in the class, and so it kind of like backfired on the teacher.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Is the teacher wanted it to be a punishment, to be like, "Oh, well, you have to stand up here and tell everybody now."
Like, why don't you share your candy with everyone in the class? Like, no.
Funnily enough, I have candy for everybody, so sure.
Isn't that a shame? Like, maybe if you weren't such a strong person or like so artistic, that she could have beat that out of you, like, or they could have taken it out of you with medicine or whatever the case may be. It seems like people constantly, every corner, like.
Yeah,
trying to take it out of you.
Yeah, I didn't really fit in, and then when I got older, I had to get a real job, and that was hard because I had to make myself fit into, knowing what time it is, being responsible for other people, kind of having, fitting into, this is where you make money, and meanwhile, all this stuff is in the background of me now, and I'm not allowed to really do it. So I had to find time for it on the side. I think it's okay though because who was it? Albert Einstein. Like he was trying to come up with a theory of relativity, and he took a break from it and he rode a bike. He rode his bike around, and that's when he figured out when his mind was doing something else was when his unconscious mind could come up with how to fix the equation, and he finally solved it. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm writing a song, I'm getting too involved in it. It's time to step back and go do something else for a while and not even think about it. And that's when there's unconscious stuff going on.
And it's for you, I think it's pretty nice because you can say, I need to step back from this song. So I'm going to go immerse myself in painting this house, this 100-year-old house. And then you're still working in the artistic space, and you're just taking your, like, a different part of your brain up is now using like all the brain power to work on the painting. And you can, like, in the middle of painting, you go, aha, like, I need this chord at the end of that chorus or whatever it is for the song.
That's it. In fact, so I was painting a painting that it was kind of like it would fit underneath an arch in a wine cellar. And I took the piece of canvas, fit it into there. I took it home, and while I painted it, I was watching the Eagles game. So I'm watching the Eagles game, I'm painting, and then deep down in my mind, like maybe I'm thinking of a song also. Like it's so weird, there's always a song going on in my head in the background. And I notice, like, it'll come back to, it's almost like a drum beat or something. Or I hear like when I used to fly back from school down in Virginia. And while I'm on the plane, I was like, I can't believe everything I've gone through at college, and I'm about to go back home now. And this song would be playing, like an orchestra song, like, winding down to come back. Or like I hear music like everywhere. My dad is in a nursing home right now. He's 92. And he's like, do you hear the beautiful music? Like, he hears music in his head and nobody else does. But I kind of get it. And that guy, I'll tell you, he was the best whistler ever. He could whistle like a bird or something. And he'd be downstairs when I was a kid. And I just hear like this whole thing. And I'm like, wow, he's really good, And he was into music. My mom, on the other hand, completely tone deaf. If I sang a note, Mom, sing this note, la, she'd be like, la, la, la. Sorry, I'm sure my mom is going to hear this, so sorry, Mom, but you're tone deaf. So I got my dad's genes. When it comes to creative ideas, I got from my mom. Her dad invented the washing machine. So he was an inventor. And when I was growing up, I was always thinking, like, I can invent something. I can invent something someday. And I did. I mean, I came up with, a couple hundred songs probably. I have stuff on Spotify. I have 3 children's CDs that are up here. So I did invent stuff, and I do have patents on the music, or whatever you call it, copyright at the Library of Congress and stuff like that. But I'll write a song and I'll put it up on Spotify, just to let people hear it. And I never know really what people are thinking about it, but apparently I get enough listens. You get 3 cents a song, and I'll get a check in the mail for like $60 every couple months.
Hey.
So people are listening to my stuff. I don't know who. But, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
So that's the beautiful thing of art, is that you make it and it means something to you, but you put it out there, and now what it meant to you isn't what other people find in that same work of art. It could be something totally opposite than what you were thinking, but if it speaks to them, then it's speaking to them. And that's what I like about art, is that it's not about what anybody else interprets. It's about how you see and react to something.
Yeah, and you're really putting part of yourself out there. So it's easier to make a funny song than it is to try to make a serious one. Like, what if I wrote a serious song and people were like, that sucks. You know, that hurts.
Yeah,
But
because
if
you
I
put
read
yourself out there.
yeah, if I read a crappy song, you know, and it's stupid, like the last song I wrote 2 days ago, it's called "Late Again," and it's about how I'm always late because I'm fixing my hair or like, you know, it's pretty funny. But like when I first started writing it, I was like, hey, this could be a serious song. It's actually pretty good. And then I chickened out and I made it into a funny song.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put yourself out there. Now, art, once you paint something and you hand it to somebody, they could say, hey, could you fix it? Who's going to do that though? They're going to say, yeah, I love it. And then secretly they don't, maybe. I don't know. But I don't get to find out. Unless I say, look, I can fix it. I can do whatever you want. One time I painted somebody's kid. I had above their fireplace. It was 2 portraits. They were about this big each. And I painted the kid's eyes the wrong color. But in the picture that I saw, they were green, but they're really blue. Can you come over here and fix it? I said, yeah, sure. You know, I come over, they give me a couple beers, had me over for dinner. I fixed the eye. And everything was good. But like really what I should have done probably was spent some time with those kids and met them and then said, okay, now I'll paint them from your picture. But like I should have taken a little extra time. One time I was asked to make a painting of Villanova Chapel. And they gave me a picture and I said, well, it's hard to tell what it looks like from the picture. So I drove over there. I spent some time sitting out in front of it. You know, took my own pictures of it. I spent some time with the building, got to know it, and then I said, okay, now I'm ready to paint it. And I got paid for it, and it came out kind of cool, and it was kind of impressionistic. It wasn't like perfect, like it wasn't like one of these geometrically perfect done with a ruler kind of thing. It was more like a feeling of the chapel, and they loved it. It was for somebody's parents got married there and they wanted to give that to him for an anniversary gift. So like, you know, I'm asked to do a lot of different things. I hope that people are happy with it, but I can paint anything, anywhere, anytime. I can paint, you know, sports stuff. I can paint your house, like a painting of your house. I could paint, you know, I do these family tree things where I'll paint it on your wall. And then you can put up pictures on the branches, stuff like that. So
That's very cool.
So, and a lot of like some of the stuff you showed us were murals. Like the one that's up there, we'll post a picture of it. The Penn State and the guy in like the game room. That's like a full like
Wall.
whole wall. Yeah. So is that like one of the like bigger ones you've ever done, or like how crazy have you gotten with some of these things?
So that was the biggest one that I did. It was about 9 feet by 6 feet high, a whole wall, and it was hard to do because I paint on the wall and I'm up so close to it that I had to keep stepping back, you know, and I'm kind of like far-sighted, so I can't see up close anyway, but I had to keep stepping back to try to see the perspective, and it was really hard because I was doing like the 5, 10, 15, 20, like the yard lines all the way up, but it wasn't straight on. It was like as if you walked down their cellar stairs and you're walking into the stadium. And even like I even drew the little mascot that they have. I don't know, the Penn State like bear or whatever.
The lion.
What is that thing? Nittany lion.
Lion.
Sorry, but I drew that. I drew a little guy, and then I got really caught up in the people in the stands, and I started drawing each of them. So maybe that wasn't a good idea. I could have just done little blotches of paint or something like that and been more impressionistic, but I really got detailed with that. One time I was asked to do a storefront window. A guy had retired from a store, and they wanted me to draw the storefront with the door and all the signs on it and everything. And I did it. I mean, I made it look like somebody are like, is that a picture or is that you know, and I'm like, that's the painting, you know, it looked pretty good. That was a hard task for me because I'm not real skilled at that, but I used a beware of dog sign, one of those metal signs, and I slapped it down on the canvas, and I would paint up to it and get a perfectly straight line. Like I had to use some tools to do it, but I could do anything. I have a harder time painting like people because like you have to capture their personality. You can't really do it from a picture. But you know, I'd rather do like the Philly Fanatic, or maybe like a kid's room. You could have a mural on their wall. Because I had a mural on my wall when I was a kid, and when I talked to
Yeah. So we had a 10-minute conversation when we first were setting this up. Also, it's Beaver Stadium.
Beaver,
Penn
sorry.
State, yeah, that's right.
I've been there.
Dang, that's a sports thing. Are you sure you actually were there?
I was drinking.
I was there.
But yeah, we had like a 10-minute conversation, and you were telling me the story, which you're about to launch into right now, which is pretty interesting.
So when I was a kid, I never slept. Okay, I would be up. My mom would put me down for a nap, and she'd go take a nap, and I waited till she went to her room, and then I would get up, and I would start doing stuff. So there was a bunch of note cards, like 5x7 note cards or whatever, and a pen or a pencil laying on my table in my room, and I just started drawing all the animals that were on my mural, and there's a raccoon, a bear, a giraffe, stuff like that, and I just started drawing them, and then my mom woke up, and I quick jumped in my bed and tried to pretend I'm asleep, and then my mom said, "Who was in your room? Who was in your room?" And I'm like, "There was nobody in my room, Mom." She said, "Then who drew these pictures on these cards?" And I said, "I did." My mom's like, "There's no way, you're only 3 years old. Like, how the heck did..." She's like, "No way." And I said, "I'll draw another one." And I drew it. She's like, "Oh my God." Like, so that's how it all started. Like, I was drawing when I was little. And sometimes I would use other things to paint or draw. And one time, I'll never forget, I'm up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I decided that I spilled some water on my rug. And I was like, wow, look at that. It's darker than the other part. I think I'm going to try to paint something on my rug. So I kept going to the sink and pouring this picture out and spreading it. And I almost had the whole thing covered up. My dad woke up. He's like, "What the hell's going on in here? God damn it." Yelling at me. And I'm like, "I was trying to paint the floor." Like stuff like that. Like I got in trouble sometimes. And I got in trouble at school. Like I said, I wasn't paying attention. I was daydreaming. Like, I just wasn't the same as everybody else. Like I had a really hard time. The past 28 years, like I fit in, I could do it. I loved talking, I loved helping people. I worked for children and youth all that time. I didn't like as much when I had to be in charge of other people because I have a hard enough time being in charge of me. Like what time is it? I have to set alarms and stuff to remind myself, I got to pick up a kid here and there. But, like I said, I would never give that up for anything. I would never give up the brain that I have. It's my superpower. Like I can write songs. I can write poems. Like when I write songs, it's like painting. I'm painting on the canvas instead of a tape. And I didn't like this part, so I erase it. And at the end, I feel fragile about it. Oh my God, are people going to like my painting? Are they going to like my song? It's the same thing. But it's my superpower, and I'm keeping it. I'm not taking any pills or anything. I'm not doing it.
I feel like that's what everybody's like. That's what everybody tries to nail down. Like, especially for us people that aren't like that. It's like that's so interesting to us that you can just do those things, whereas we're like,
Oh, it would be such a struggle. Be like, all right, Kevin, write a song. I'm like, okay, we start with English. That's a language. So what are words from English that can go in a song? And it would be like I would be lost at the beginning of the whole process.
I actually have a rhyming dictionary, and that's helpful because sometimes I'll be writing and I'm like, I need a word that rhymes with, whatever. And I look in the dictionary, there's a million of them, and I pick one. But yeah, like coming up with ideas, I think I always do it different than other people. So they write the music first or something like that, or they'll write the words first. But what I do is I come up with the title of the song first, and then I write the words, and then I write the music. So you come up with a title. It's got to be a cool title, otherwise nobody's going to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
So that's important. I could come up with a whole album. I'm going to make this whole CD with 10 songs, and I could give you the names of the songs, and then never even write them or anything. But it looks pretty cool. Like, wow, look at this. This is going to be awesome.
Can't wait
I'd
to
love
listen to it.
that. One of the things I had this idea for a song called Clear as Mud, and I just can't make it come together. But then I started thinking, like, am I ripping this off from ZZ Top, who had that El Loco album, and they're all in the mud, you know? Or like sometimes things are derivative from, like, I'll listen to really good music, like, you know, something from the Beatles or Paul McCartney, and I'm like, how did they come up with this song structure? And then I'll sometimes I'll rip off, you know, I'll be derivative of them. And that's the best compliment you could ever give another musician, is that you're taking something from them. Paul McCartney said it about Oasis. Oasis is totally rip-off band of the Beatles and Paul McCartney. And he says, hey, that I don't care. That's a compliment to us, you know?
Yeah, so, and especially because there's the people that you're taking it or ripping it off from are just fans of music in general, where they just want to hear your take on something. Like, I remember hearing a story of it was after Sgt. Pepper's came out.
Yeah.
And like Sgt. Pepper's came out, and then Jimi Hendrix started to like gain a little traction at the same time. So it was like the couple of guys from the Beatles, I think Eric Clapton, like some of these like famous people were like, let's go see what this Jimi Hendrix experience is all about. Yep. And they go see, and he did a cover of Sgt. Pepper's, the song, and Paul McCartney was like, oh man, like we got to step our shit up because this guy's coming for us.
Yeah, so that the album just came out like that week, and then Jimmy came out and played it, and you're right, they were in the audience there. So, you know, Eric Clapton was very jealous of Jimi Hendrix. They got in some argument in the bathroom. I don't know. I don't know if you ever saw the movie with the Hendrix movie with Andre 3000 or whatever was playing Hendrix. It's pretty good, but they showed how Eric Clapton walked off the stage. They were playing together, and he's like, you know, F this. I'm not playing with this guy. He's making me look bad, you know. But hey, in thinking about this, so ideas really, good ideas, more than one people can have them at the same time. And that happens a lot of times, but they also can be tweaked a little bit and made better. So, you know, the Beatles songs and things like that, you know, they own those things. And then after a certain amount of time, that part of the catalog opens up, and people are allowed to record those songs and not pay any royalties to them. And the same thing happens with inventions. Like my grandfather invented the agitator on the washing machine. It makes it would make the thing churn and it clean the clothes for you. Before him, you had to do it by hand and then roll it through these rollers and scrub it on a thing. But after a couple years, the what do you call it?
The
patent. Yeah, thank you. See, I'm getting old, man. I'm 55 and can't get the words out. That's what happens when you retire. You get worse and worse at remembering words and talking to people because you're like at home all alone all day. But the patent eventually expires because they want people to be able to improve it. Otherwise, things would never move forward any further. So I think my grandfather got GE infringed on his patent, and they had to pay him for 40,000 washers. And it was like $40,000, which is like probably $4 million today, because they couldn't wait for the patent to expire. It was such a good idea that they wanted to do it, so they stole his idea. I love GE. Yeah. Everything in my house, the last house I lived in, everything was GE. But it reminds me of the story about how my grandfather had this idea and they stole it, and I love that. I love hearing about that. So, anyway,
tell that to the guy that created the water-powered car.
Is there a water-powered car?
Well, not anymore.
They shut that down.
Yeah, because they're going to the electric car.
Who knows if
There was
it's a real
something with
story.
it was hydrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just suck the hydrogen.
I would
out or
imagine there's
whatever.
a ton of those stories to keep. I mean, once these businesses are so big, I mean, they really are. They're bigger than governments almost.
Yeah, they can shut down something. Oh, that doesn't fit into our agenda.
They can
so
just
we're
buy
gonna...
it and then shelf it.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But anyway,
Stifle innovation. But go ahead.
I'm an artist, and you know, I got a lot of that. My dad was an artist, but like I said, he could whistle. I wanted to say something about him though, because he could paint, but he was colorblind. So he was red-green colorblind. So all his paintings looked very strange. Otherwise, he might have been big time, you know. But like he had to know which light was on the top, the red or the green at a stoplight, in order to go, because he couldn't tell the difference between them. So my mom, I remember when I was a kid, she'd be drawing. She could draw. Again, she couldn't sing. You know, luckily, like all the right elements from my mom and dad came to me and made me who I am, you know. And also like just knowing that, again, that your grandfather invented something. It always, when I felt crappy about myself, I was like, I know I can do something. I have a cousin who worked on the reentry shields on the space shuttle.
Oh, that's cool.
And she invented a windmill blade. I have an uncle who invented cattle feed and other things. Like there's a lot of people like this.
Hope it wasn't that one Challenger.
I don't
man.
think so.
Oh, all right, good.
But she also invented windmill blades and has like a patent on it. So, you know, that gene gets passed on, and I think you know, part of being creative is that you fail a lot. Like you have an idea and it stinks.
And I wonder if it's like as much hereditary as it is where you're saying like my grandfather invented this so I know I can, where it's just that inherent like the belief of we can figure something out like this, as much as like the gene to have that thought process as well.
It's both.
Maybe it gives you that extra push when you were about to give up, but you think back like, oh, you know what? My grandfather probably kept going. Boom. That gives you that extra little.
Yeah, like I know I can do something. What if I was adopted? See, so I have 2 adopted kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of like me too in a lot of ways. My son was always trying to, let's make something, let's invent something, you know. My daughter, she can draw and paint. Like she would see me doing it, and then she'd come over and get her little canvas and do it. And now she says, "Hey, I'm gonna paint stuff because it helps me to express my feelings and stuff like that." And I'm like, you know what? That's part of it too. Like you're expressing part of yourself, and it almost feels like if you're not creating stuff, you feel like you're stagnant. And during COVID, during the whole COVID thing, I couldn't do anything, and I had all this time on my hands, and I just couldn't make the step to like start going and making something. But it's okay, because I'm realizing now all this stuff is going on in my head, and now it's ready to come out. And I needed that. I needed all that time. I also needed to retire, and that was a lot of work, getting ready to leave work, you know, a career after 28 years in the same place. It was really hard for me, and it was emotional on me. And you know, I miss working with all those people, but like I want to get back to some of the basics that I used to do, and some of the stuff that I didn't have time to do. And you know, somebody asked me to paint a family tree on their wall, and I said, I can still do this. I'm ready to do this again. I put out a thing on Facebook saying, hey, Fred paints. I'll paint anything, anywhere. You know, I charge by the hour. I'm not going to rip people off. I want to do this. I don't want to get a second job if I don't have to. If I could make enough money writing songs and painting and making murals and stuff, so be it. But otherwise, if it doesn't take off and I'm not like busy all the time, I might have to get another job.
Well,
I might have to come work with you guys over here.
Look, dude, we can't pay anybody, but we're not. I think that's one of the like people that are like stoic or emotionless, you know, monsters like me and Kev. Like we can appreciate
Love
artists
being with you.
that can like they take emotion, and that's why we pay money or we give so much appreciation to people that can create things, because it take like, at least for me, like I can't put out my emotions, but then we use somebody like you who can take emotions and make them into physical things. I think that's what artists are put here for, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a pretty good thought by you right
All
there.
right.
That was pretty good. You kind of pulled it together.
I
there.
tried.
Good job. I mean, I could write you guys a theme song for your
Hey, man.
podcast.
We'd love to take entries.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we have discussed is like
We do need we need
getting
a theme song.
some kind of little bit of music to intro us in.
Yeah.
Hey, if I can't do it, maybe that band that I heard about at the Bridgeport
The
Rib
Ruby
House
tonight?
tonight, yeah, Dinah.
Yeah, they're pretty good,
You
man.
know, those guys could probably come up with something for you.
The whole
but,
damn family's
yeah.
freaking musically talented.
Yeah.
But yeah, special shout out to Russ Money for bringing you into the fold. He
Yeah.
recommended. He's like, I got this guy for you, and I'm like, hey, dude, what? That's awesome. And he was like, you don't have to tell anybody that I brought him to. You can say you found him on the street. I'm like, what are you talking about, Russ?
I just happened to be wandering down the street and I dropped some pictures on the floor. You're like, oh my God, are you an artist?
We just grabbed you and
Come
pulled
on
you in
in
here.
here.
We said we need a guest.
He's
That
so
guy.
afraid.
We
Yeah,
have
he's so afraid.
We have nobody next week. What are you doing? Yeah.
I mean, he's Russ Money's our executive producer at this point.
Pretty much. At least our talent director, at the very least.
Right.
He is a great guy, man.
Everybody says it.
He's one of my closest friends, so
Yeah, everybody says
I'm
it's great.
giving him a shout out. Thanks, Russ. Thanks,
Oh,
Russ
yeah.
Money. But hey, that's all I got.
No,
Nah,
well,
we're-
you've got.
I think we barely even touched
Yeah,
on what
dude.
you've got yet. There's so
Okay.
much.
All right, so like, what I wanted to get into is, all right, so I don't know how much you can talk about your actual job or your past career, but like when you mentioned it, I was just like, and now talking to you about all your emotional and stuff, like that's got to be one of the saddest jobs for you to take. Why the hell would you do that?
So I worked at a group home for like 4 years, and I lived there with the kids, and I was only like 21. You know, I was a kid myself, and you know, I had to discipline them, take care of them, like clip little kids' nails and make sure they got to the dining hall and ate and put them to bed. And I'll tell you, I really got connected with those kids. I made a movie with them. Like we made like a movie about a mummy that came down from another planet, and the mummy was just one of the kids with toilet paper all wrapped around them. And you know, the kids love that stuff. They still reach out to me now, and they're like, you know, in their 40s. That was a long time ago. That was down at the Virginia Baptist Children's Home.
Oh damn!
But I connected with those kids, and then I got a job up here in Norristown. That was back in '93, and you know they paid a lot more money, and I said, I'm coming up here, you know. And I remember like, wow, this is my salary. I'm gonna go buy a new suit. Like I can't believe how much money I made. And meanwhile, it was like $13,000 a year when I started.
Different times.
But yeah, so that was a hard job. I remember. So I worked for children and youth, and I had to create a relationship with the parents that were, you know, sometimes neglectful of their kids, or there was some abuse allegation or something like that. And I would go out to their home and try to make this relationship so that we could work together and alleviate all the issues, and then let them be on their own. And sometimes I would come in and I'd be like, I got to take your kids. And that was hard because they were like, you traitor. And the kids would be crying and the police would be there. And I ripped apart, you know, 7 to 10 families. And I was like, man, this is too difficult, because it's like I blew off a bomb and scattered everybody apart. And now, like, how do I put it back together?
So are you,
Yeah.
do you, like, once that happens,
Yeah.
are you in charge of being like, hey, you take care of X, Y, and Z, and then we can get the family back together? Is it still
Yeah.
like your case to work at that point?
Yeah. So I still had to work with them after I just, you know, caused all this damage, and they hate me and everything. I usually had people who respected me, and I worked with them and got their kids back, or they got adopted or something like that. But what what I started to feel like it was we need a better solution. We need to be able to put services in and or be able to find family or work with the family up front before we have to take the kids away. And so at the end of my career, I was working in a unit called the Family Engagement Unit, and we could actually use a computer program to find family. And then we could call all the family members. If the kids were in danger of going into placement, we could actually call all these people, and some family member usually would come forward and say, hey, I'll take the kids. And that's much better than
that's heartening to hear. That's
yeah,
good to hear that you don't have to just rip these kids away, that you can say, no, it's like you're with Aunt Donna until things get sorted out, or however it goes.
Yeah, and then you're with Aunt Donna, who's family, and it's not as bad as like, hey, you're going to go to the stranger's house today, and I think they have a dog and they have 2 other kids, but I'm not really sure, but we're going to go over there and find out together. And who wants to do that?
Yeah.
And the parents are like, we're gonna come after you. We hate you. You betrayed us. But I did everything at that agency. I worked in I worked in a unit that took the kids away. I worked in foster care. I worked with the ungovernable kids that didn't behave to their parents, so I would take them to court and send them away to a boot camp, things like that. Then one day, my boss said to me, hey, we're going to have you run family meetings. And I just ran all these family meetings. And it was really interesting. I did about 1,000 family meetings. I saw everything. People throwing donuts at each other. I used to put out water and say, have a glass of water to calm people down, and they throw water in somebody's face. So I stopped doing that, I felt like I was like...
How many times does somebody get water thrown in their face before you take the water away?
I think it happened twice.
First time's a fluke, second time
then it was like donuts and munchkins, and like that would be like, hitting somebody in the forehead, and security would have to come. But we did a lot of good... we had a lot of good family meetings where we brought in family members and had them all come together and make the decision about what's going to happen and who's going to do what moving forward. So they came up with their own plan. We had this whole new kind of thing that came around about 15 years ago. It's called family group decision making. And that allowed the family to make the decision and present it to our agency. And we found out they're more likely to follow that plan if they came up with it on their own. And we also included all these people that know the situation, and we widened the circle and brought in more supports around this family. Back in the day, when I first started, you weren't allowed to talk to other people. There was confidentiality. There was no computer way to like get and find other relatives and stuff like that. But now, like, everything's built off of financial records, and you can see like who, up to about a 90% certainty, these people are a relative. And so here's their phone numbers, here's where they live. Let's start making some calls. That's a lot better than sending a kid somewhere, getting connected with a new family that they didn't know, and now they're getting connected with them and they like being there, and then we got to rip them away from there, things like that. So that was a hard job. But once I became supervisor of that unit and we're helping, I like being on the helping side. It was a lot less stressful, a lot more meaningful than being on the side where I had to go out and take kids. That was not fun. Even working with the bad kids, the ungovernable kids, I would send them away, and they'd be like, as they're leaving the courtroom, they're giving me the finger, and I'm going to kill you and later, and stuff like that.
And it's got to take a toll. Like, how long can you live as the bad guy before you're like, man, you start to feel like a bad guy almost?
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that felt. But, 10 years later, some of those kids would come back, and they'd say, thank you for doing that. But it took that long to realize that I was making an impact. Like a positive impact. I have one kid that I worked with when he was 5, and he's a grandfather now.
Damn.
And he comes back and he's like, He's like, Fred, you still look exactly the same as you did when you were my caseworker, you know? And his name is Maurice. He's like a rapper. We should get him on here.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
He's great, man.
You know, hopefully one of them's not like the Sixth Sense, but
yeah, I always thought like somebody was going to come back and be like, you know,
you were the one that fucked it all
you
up.
took me away from my family and like just, you know, gunned me down or something like that. But like I was always, I never engaged in that fight with kids. I used to say stuff like at one time a kid punched a cabinet right next to my head, and it was like, that could have been your head, and I would have killed you. And I said, yeah, you probably would have. I was like, yeah, you're a lot bigger than me, you know. I'm just here because this isn't working anymore, you know. We got to do something. He's like, you know, like I just disengaged people, and I never like went head to head with anybody. I mean, I had one lady say, we had this family meeting, and she said, I'm going to fuck up your pretty face. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize I had a pretty face.
Oh my God, you think I'm pretty?
Like, oh, thanks for the compliment. She's like, fuck you. You know, so.
That's the worst somebody could hurl at you. Damn.
But like, I felt for all the people I worked with. And like, I don't think anybody would ever come up to me and be like, dude, I remember you, and I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. I don't think I have anybody that hates me.
That's good, especially in that kind of
I
line
did
of
what
work,
I had to do. Like, you know, like when I came here, like, look, this is not a good situation. Your kids can't stay here. You know that this isn't working.
And that's why maybe it takes 10 years, like you said, but I think people come to the terms of like, oh, we needed someone that was detached from being a part of the situation to come in and tell us how to fix it and how to run things.
Yeah. The other thing I did, you know, Russ was part of it too. We started a something called Fathers Matter, and we realized, like, so at my work there were no dads showing up. It was just moms. The cases that you worked on were on under the mother's name. You know, you went to the house. Sometimes there'd be a guy there, but like you didn't know who he was. Like you wouldn't even engage with him. You were there to see the mom. That went on. That was like 30 years ago, 28 years ago. As time went on, we realized like we need these dads to step up, and we started an initiative called Fathers Matter, and we got a coalition of dads and police and all people in the Norristown area together, and we started giving out book bags and helping dads get their kids ready for the school year. One of my ideas was to give out like free haircuts and like, Dad, come down here with your kid and we'll get haircuts. We never did that, but you know, things like that. And then so we started this. It's kind of like a coalition of people that care. And right now they're changing one of the laws in Harrisburg, and it started with what we were doing, and now it's all the way up there. Dads who want to be involved in their kids' lives shouldn't have all these barriers that are in place right now, including the assumption that people have that dads are feeble and they don't know what they're doing and they're incompetent and they can't be like a mom. In raising my kids, I felt kind of like a mom and a dad sometimes. Like I would change diapers, and I spent a lot of time. I put my daughter to bed every night. I would sit in her room on the floor until she fell asleep, and then try to sneak out, and then she'd be like, Dad, where are you going? And I'm like, I got to come back, lay back down again, and then try to sneak out. You know, like I spent a lot of time with my kids, and a lot of times dads are seen as like these people that aren't involved, and they just sperm donor, and they just give money. You know, they have a job and they provide money, but it's a lot more than that. They found that if dads aren't in a kid's life, you know, kids are 75% more likely to end up in prison. Wow. And we went to the prisons with Fathers Matter, and we sat down with them, and we talked to them, and they're like, yeah, our dads weren't in our lives, and you know, we're struggling to be in our kids' lives when we get out of here. And part of what we did was help these guys out when they came out of prison. We got involved with the prison reentry programs, and we try to provide some kind of support. And we also had dads take the pledge, the Fathers Matter pledge, and there's a bunch of things on it, on the pledge, and everybody signs it, and you get the T-shirt. You know, it says stuff like, I'll be involved in my child's child's life, even when it's not what's the word I'm looking for?
Easy.
Even when it's not easy, or even if I'm not getting along with the mom, I'm gonna do my best to get along with the mom, stuff like that. I'll make sure that my kids are taken care of. I wish I had one of these pledges. I didn't even think I'd get here into this part of my career, but like I did so many things, and like I was always like, again, I was always that idea guy, and I was like, hey, why don't we make like a coalition and we'll do this, and we'll call it, at first it was going to be something else, and then it turned into Fathers Matter, because fathers do matter, but like all these ideas, they're going to go nowhere unless you actually execute them and do something about it. You could sit back, I could have an idea for a song, I could have an idea for anything, and then it just goes away. Sometimes somebody will have an idea and I'll remember it and I'll steal it. There was a guy named Howard Milton, and he worked at this place called New Life, where I did an internship, and I did adventure-based counseling with the kids. And he had the Sesame Street finger puppets on top of his desk, and I'm like, Howard, I always wanted to ask you, like, why do you have those? And he said, let me tell you why. He's like, somebody had an idea of these characters, and now everybody knows who they are. And that's why I have them up there. Because somebody, if they didn't take the idea and put it into action, nobody would know who any of these people are. That finger puppet wouldn't be up here. But, like, that's the whole point. Like, you need to have an idea and go for it and make it into something. That's Sesame Street for you right there. And we all grew up on that.
Yeah.
You know who Oscar the Grouch is. You know who Big Bird is. That's
this podcast. We had the equipment. We were sitting there. Nothing was ever going to happen unless we got in here, asked some people to come on, and they were generous enough to donate some of their time and knowledge to us. So,
ideas. You can have as many ideas as you want. If you're not going into action on anything, then what's an idea worth?
It just sits there, or it's forgotten, fleeting,
or somebody else comes up and eventually makes the same or similar idea. But if you didn't make those CDs of children's songs, like, that would have just died with you. Like, now it's out there, and as much as you don't want to hear somebody say, "Oh, your shit sucks," but at least you put it out there, and you have the option of people saying, "Hey, I like it," or "I don't like it."
Yeah, my mom helped me to make the first CD. She said, "Listen, I will buy you the equipment to record it, and I will make your first 1,000 CDs." And she wrote up a contract and everything, and I signed it, and she was the producer. And if she hadn't done that, so like once in a while you run into people who are mentors and they help you along the way. And my mom really did that. And there was when I worked at a nursing home, and I worked in the dietary department for a whole year. I had been kicked out of college for a semester, and I was working at the nursing home that my grandmother lived at. And I'm working in dietary. I'm getting, the trays back, and I have to do the dishes. There's like false teeth on them, glasses. People spit a loogie in a napkin. I'm like, this sucks. Like, but this is my punishment for getting kicked out of school, But then one day, a lady named Grace came up to me and said, "How would you like to have a job in therapeutic recreation?" This is at a nursing home. And I was like, "What do you mean? Like doing like bingo and stuff?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "When do I start?" She said, "Tomorrow." And like somebody recognized, she said, "The patients love you here, and I got to get you working with them." And I was like, you know what? Like, there's people like that come along in your life, and it's almost like, like God put them into your life somehow. But she came along at the right time, because I was feeling like crap. I'm kicked out of school. Things aren't going well. I'm working in a dietary department. And then all of a sudden I'm working with, doing bingo and all this stuff. And all the other guys were like angry with me. Like, "What's so great about you? Why do you get to do this? And I still have to wash pots and stuff, And I'm like, I don't know, but wouldn't you have done it?
Yeah.
If they come to you with the same offer, you're saying no? Like, yeah, obviously I'm taking it. I'm out of here. Bye.
So that's when it all started, because I was working with people. Then I went back to school, finished up. I went to Roanoke College in Virginia. And then I got this job working with the kids at that group home. But I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have gone into helping people if it weren't for Grace. And I've tried to go find her. I don't know if she's even alive anymore, man. But her name was Grace Marcoux. Grace, if you're out there, please inbox me over on my Facebook page, Fred Blankenburg. But I'd love to talk to her because that changed my life right there. And everybody has somebody like that. Make sure you go back and thank those people because they don't even know that they helped you. Yeah. They might be thinking like, man, my life sucks. I didn't help anybody. But every pebble that you throw in a pond has a ripple effect. And sometimes the ripples take a while to get to the edge, But you make an impact on people. You don't even know it until like 10 years later. Some kid comes back, thank you. I want to come back and say thank you to Grace. Maybe you guys have somebody that you want to thank, but you got to do it because that's part of yin yang principles. Reciprocity, like giving back, and people gave you something and you give them back. Or even just to recognize that you didn't get here on your own.
Or refilling the cup, doing it, passing it on.
Yeah, I remember when my cup was so full that I couldn't, everything just splashed out. Now that I'm retired, my cup is like less than half full right now. I got more time to think and do. And that's why I want to start doing all this art. I want to start painting again. I want to get back out there, expressing myself, creating these incredibly unique art projects for people that, you can say, oh yeah, I had some artist come over my house and made that. Wow, that's really good. Like, who is he? And then you can pass my name along. Word of mouth is the best thing. But I want to work. I don't want to get a part-time job if I don't have to. But I do, I'd like to be doing, a painting a week or 2 paintings a month or something like that.
So would that be like if somebody comes to you and say, hey, I want through my stairs, I want you to do whatever kind of painting on the wall and the stairs.
Yeah.
And somebody else comes to you and they said they got something in their kids' room. Are you going to split time? Or are you going to say, all right, when I'm done with the stairs, then I'll come over to your kids' room? Or are you going to say, hey, Tuesday I'll be there, Wednesday I'll be over here?
Okay, so I remember a guy said he was going to tile my kitchen, and he started it and then he was halfway done and then he got a better job and never came back and stuff like that. I don't do stuff like that. I'm not going to take on too much that I can't finish it, but I'll be honest. I'll say, hey, look, I'll be over next week. I'm going to have some kind of calendar and I can pencil you in and I'll be there. I'm always on time. No, I'm not.
Hey, you wrote a whole song about it.
Yeah, but when it comes to getting paid and doing actual work, like I can turn on that side of my brain, Okay. But I'm not going to overcommit to anything. And maybe something will take longer than I thought it was going to take, but we'll agree on a price and everything up front. So I'm not trying to rip people off. So I can give you a free quote. I'll come out, take a look. I'll tell you how long it would probably take me to do, and when we can do it. We'll come up with a date. Sometimes people let me in their house when they're not there, or they want me to come when they're there. I don't care. I'll do whatever. I could even, a lot of times people move and then they're like, oh, I can't take the mural with me. What do I do? So I had this idea where I can buy canvas and, we can unroll it off the wall and you can put it on another wall somewhere else. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I mean, you got to think outside the box, right?
Yeah, man.
Like I've had so many things that I painted and they end up getting painted over and it hurts. It breaks my heart, man. I feel like sick. I painted, I don't know if you remember Blues for Allah, which was the Grateful Dead album. It had like a fiddler inside of the pyramid kind of, and it was like, it was really cool looking. I painted it on the front of somebody's bar, and then these girls moved into the house and they painted over it. And I came over there, I was like, what happened to my thing? Oh, you painted that? I'm sorry. The same thing happened at this gym. It got taken over, and I went in there and I saw them painting over it. I'm like, no. You'll see the Max gym, like the bulldog breaking through the wall that I painted. I mean, that took me like a week. That was hard to do, and to see them paint over it. But I got to realize, like, when I sell something to somebody, it's not mine anymore.
Yeah.
I've gone to people's houses and I see the painting up there and I'm like, I just want to touch up that little part. Like, oh, that looks. Can I just touch that up? No, I gotta stop.
That's funny. It was my wife always makes fun of me because we have people over the house, and like I mean, it's not like painting a mural, but I just did all the walls and the ceiling. Like I repainted the house.
Yeah.
So I know everywhere in that house where I messed up. And it's like, oh, I missed a spot there, or I touched the corner up here.
Yeah.
And so we'll be showing people like, oh, here there's because we're relatively new to into the house still. And I'm like, this is where I messed up. She's like, stop it. Like, stop telling people. It's like, it looks fine. Like, don't
tell people.
The only people that know is you. So why are you alerting everybody else?
Because it's sensitive. When you've done something and people are looking at it, it's like, you can be really sensitive about it. Mm-hmm. So rather than have them see it, you're just going to point it out, and then it's over. I think that's what it is. I do the same thing. I'm like, like I said, I want to fix that, or I wish I could have redone this. My songs, once you put it on Spotify, like, you can't take it back,
No.
And then it's kind of like, it's coming up to the part where I patched in, and you can hear like a little click, like, I can't let it go. You know what I mean? I just can't let it go. I don't know what to do about that. I'm kind of like a perfectionist. But maybe I'm not. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of like fragile or something.
You're an artist. I
Yeah.
think you covered that when you introduced yourself.
Yeah.
So the albums,
Yeah.
is it like you and a guitar, or is there like drums and bass? Like, are you playing all of the instruments, or do you have a band that was working with you?
So the first CD I had, it was me playing everything, and then a drummer, and his name was Vance McNear. The dude he's a spectacular drummer. He's been playing since he was like 5 years old at Grace Tabernacle True Gospel Church. So I was like, what if I could get like some of that kind of feel into this kid's music, and like, come on over and we'll record it. And he was spectacular. Then for the second CD, I got Russ to play the bass, and Vance to play the drums, and I played guitar, vocals, and piano. And then we did a third one with the same trio, and we ended up doing like, I don't know, like 100 shows. Like, we did like
Oh wow.
We like a children's show. We had a puppet show, and the rock band would play with the puppets and everything. It was pretty good. The kids liked it. I kept forgetting the words, when I was up there. But we did daycares. We did like a couple of those concerts in the park. We played over here at the band show in Norristown, where Boys to Men were discovered, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
In that Elmwood Park Zoo band show.
Huh.
We played at McGuire Air Force Base one time for the families there. We did a lot of stuff. It was like every weekend. It was kind of like what Dinah's doing now. But we didn't get paid a lot, and it was hard. It was hard to keep up with that. But I realized, like, at one point I said, we're retiring. And then it's just, the music is out there and it lives on forever. Mm-hmm. It's like, once you create something like music, it's there forever. It's like, and you keep getting paid for it. It's pretty cool.
Also, like, it seems like you're going to be another piece of a puzzle. Excuse me. Another piece of the puzzle. Like, okay, so you did that thing for a little bit, it broke apart, but then you can be another piece and take what you did from that to another thing. Like, I feel like that's what Russ talks about a lot. Bringing in, the people he loves to the band, like having them do the drums or whatever when they need it.
Yeah, I had a bunch of my friends. I had them do the voice acting, and like they were people that were funny. They were funny people at work and stuff. And I was like, if I was gonna make a children's show someday, like Sesame Street, like, you would be on it, and you would be on it. So I'm like, you know what, come read this script. You know, we'll drink some beers up in my attic in my recording studio, and we're gonna make this album." And they're all like, "What?" And then they came over. And now they're like part of this thing forever.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, and like Russ brought me into one of his bands. After this, I ended up playing with him, and then somehow we ended up on the stage playing for World Meeting of Families in front of 4,000 people.
Damn.
Up on that stage with them when the Pope came to Philly.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what am I doing up here? I'm not Catholic, number one. And I have no business being up here, but we did it. And, you know, it's like I could write a book about, like, how I came so close to being famous over and over. One of them was I did these animations on Nintendo DSi for something called Flipnote Studio. And you could write a little song on there and then make an animation. And you posted it online. And I became like the third most famous creator. And I got really famous in Japan, in Kyoto, Japan. And they interviewed me.
Oh, shit.
They interviewed me. They're like, "Hey, you know, what inspires you to make these animations and stuff?" One of my animations had like, 8 million views on it. And I have kids. So I played at Milk Boy. We did the children's music show at Milk Boy for the Milk and Cookie show for Miss Sherling. I don't know if you ever heard of her, but it's like a kids' milk and cookie show. You play the music, and then in the middle, like the kids go and get cookies and milk, and it's on Sunday, and instead of, wasting your time somewhere, going to church or whatever, you come here, and for the milk and cookies show thing, where was I going with that?
You were famous.
Almost
oh,
famous,
yeah.
and
So there was a kid who showed up at the Milk and Cookies show, and he's like, "I'm here to see Fred Blankenburg, the Flipnote, the animation guy." And they were like, "Oh, he's not playing this week. He's going to be back here next week." Like people were looking for me.
Oh, shit.
And then
Wow.
I have a YouTube channel, and all the people that were doing the animations were all like, they found me. They're like, "I know this is Fred Blankenburg. You're the guy that did the animation." So like, yeah, I almost got famous. Like all that stuff I put on my YouTube channel, so you can kind of check it out. Like
Which is what?
it's just Fred Blankenburg.
All right.
okay.
And on Spotify, I'm Fred Blankenburg, or I'm Fred and Brian. Me and my friend Brian made a couple songs, kid songs. One of them was "My Boo Boo Hurts." And that was a great song, by the way. "My Boo Boo Hurts." I wanted to call Band-Aid and say, "Hey, let's make this into an ad." And I was going to reach out to him. I never did. And then I wrote the S'mores song. It's about the s'mores, how great s'mores are. It's on Fred and Brian. And I wrote there's a whole bunch of stuff. One of them is Nosy Neighbors on Spotify. And Food Criminal, like Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal.
Yeah.
I did like a parody. I remember. So I listened to Dr. Demento when I was a kid. Every Sunday night it came on, and it was Weird Al and all these people doing Fish Heads. That's all those funny songs.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of him, Dr. Demento?
No, I haven't heard of
No,
him.
Big Al.
I know Weird
or
Al.
Weird Al, whatever.
So
yeah.
Big
Big Al's
Weird
is,
Al
in Reading.
Yankovic. He ended up doing like all these song parodies, and that's where he got started on there. But I remember listening to that, and I was like, I could do that. I could make song parodies. Me and my friends would be driving in the car. Every song that came on the radio, we'd be changing the words. Like, I get the first verse, then you get the next. And whoever was the funniest, it was like, yeah. And then the one that stunk, like, boo, you stink, man, you lose. Yeah, you won, yeah. Like, we'd have these contests. Who can come up with the funniest thing? I don't know. But it was constant. Me and my friends were up in my room, like, in high school, like, writing songs and making videos. Back then, this is 1984. Like, I was the only person that had a video camera. So we were, like, making these videos and funny videos and stuff. And, like, even before that, I had a tape recorder. And, you press play and record, and we'd make skits and stuff. That's all we did.
Damn, you missed it, man. That's where we're at now.
Yeah,
Everybody
right?
has it right in their pocket. The ability to do it.
I'm glad they do, because why should I have a one up from everybody else? Like, it's all a equal playing field
Yeah.
now. Now it's really about whether it's funny or not, and whether the music is any good, rather than somebody discovered you.
How you have the access to be able to do it now. Everybody can do it. So if everybody does it, what's good is gonna
Rise to
be
the top.
shown. Yeah.
Yeah, like what if there was like, the label was like, hey, these are the bands that we're working on. Nobody else can even get in the door. It's not fair. Now you can.
Yeah, gatekeepers are
cool.
gone for the most part.
I'm afraid to do it now. Like I should get on TikTok, right? Everybody keeps saying, get on TikTok,
I
get on
told
TikTok.
Kev that he could be our TikTok guy.
I told you I'm not going to be on TikTok.
But like I'm afraid to do it, because I'm either I'm going to get obsessed with it, or what if they don't like me? I don't know. I'm old.
I don't know,
now.
dude.
I'm
Look,
not young anymore.
You go through. I don't do TikTok, but Reels, and you go through, and it's really is content. It doesn't matter how goofy or how stupid you think you look, and the people that know you think, oh man, these people are going to see me, they're going to make fun of me. If you get 1 million views and you start getting real money, then what does that mean?
Yeah, it doesn't
They
matter.
would be like, well, if Fred's out there doing it, maybe I'm kind of goofy. Maybe I should try. They'll secretly go behind your back and do it. That's it all makes it worth it once you accomplish the goal.
We have this one friend. His name's Greg Firely, and him and his wife made these videos on TikTok, and it's life with my teenage daughter, and it's all him acting like her, propping her phone somewhere, and can I have a smoothie, and all this stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen
man,
it.
if that's the one I've seen, that's pretty cool.
That's
Because I've
him.
definitely seen that.
It's him. He's walking.
He's wearing a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
On the couch or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's walking down the street now. People are like, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok." He's like famous, and he actually
Very
gets
cool.
paid.
Yeah.
They get a check.
Dude,
and
once
stuff.
somebody starts busting your balls at a party, they're like, oh, this guy uses TikTok, and then I just got paid like $1,000 for just TikToks. Oh, well, I guess I'm the asshole now.
Yeah.
I would
Yep.
make fun of you until you showed me money. Yeah.
Yeah,
So why don't you go make us some money?
You guys could put like something on TikTok. I don't.
I'm
know.
sure. We'll get somebody to do it for us.
Yeah, maybe I'll
Figure
help you.
something out.
Maybe I come up with your theme song,
Yeah.
and then we make a TikTok thing inviting people to come to the podcast.
Hey man, we've
Yeah.
got Russ. He's got like 10 kids. I mean, I'm sure they're on TikTok. Like, I'm sure they could help us out.
Them alone, like you get the word to them, and they tell 2 friends, and it just goes crazy,
Yeah.
man. It's
Yeah.
like exponential.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm afraid of TikTok. Like I'm still old school. Again, I want to paint. Blah blah blah. And I do want to write songs and stuff.
I was just gonna ask, do you have, like, you're saying you want to paint? Do you have any ideas in the works for music or an album, anything like that right now, or is it just you're focusing on painting as much as possible?
Like I said, I wrote a song 2 days ago, and now like I can't wait till tomorrow because I'm gonna write another one. So I'm gonna try to write like 4.
Now, do
Like
you
an
ever try to
EP
do
maybe?
adult songs? Like, so, like, because you can make, you can take your adult song and then make it a kid. Like, they do that with Kids Bop. So, have you ever tried to make, like, a real, like, adult, like, all right, here's some heavy issues, and then maybe transfer it to a kid version?
I'm kind of afraid to do that, but I want to make one. I want to try to make one this
Only
time.
takes one.
Like, and maybe it'll be something where you can barely even understand my words, and then people can just be like, well, what is he singing about? That's kind of like mostly what I guess I'm more like novelty, like.
Well, it's easy to write it off if anybody's like, oh, man, you were writing about this? You're like, well, it's for kids. It's for children,
Well, yeah, with the kids thing, I can kind of say, hey, it's a kid's song. What do you want? Or this is a novelty song. Like, hey, what did you expect? It's not going to sound like great, but I think that there's something to making something that's more organic and kind of constrict yourself a little bit, or build a couple constraints in where I'm only going to make it like 8 tracks altogether. I'm not going to have this huge, like I have a thing where I can make like 24 tracks and then add all these effects. Like I want something that feels more organic and more real, and I don't want it to be overproduced and overplayed. So I'm kind of going that route, and which is hard for me. But like I played this guitar solo yesterday, and I kind of screwed up a little bit, and I was like, you know what, I'm leaving it. I got to leave it. And then I woke up today and I said, maybe I need to re-record it. And I'm like, I got to stop, because I think that sometimes the best music is when somebody makes a mistake and they're like, oh, just keep it, man. Keep it. Oh my God, that's great. Or you play the wrong note and it's like, holy cow, that note sounds great there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something like that. Like, I'm more into this, the creative process now. I want to like really spend a little more time, you know, like putting out something that's less perfect. You know what I mean? Just, this is me.
Yeah.
I'm a little rough around the edges. My hair is a little messed up.
People
getting
love
older.
authenticity.
Yeah, I want to be real. Like, this is like, you know, part of me. Like, maybe I need to like step out there and give it a shot and write something legit. You know, I think I could. A lot of my friends at home from Newington, Connecticut, giving you a shout out. There's a guy named Joe McMahon out there, and all of a sudden he put out this solo album. It's called Mill Pond Falls is the name of his band. And I'm like, who's singing on this, Joe? And he's like, it's me. I'm like, holy cow, dude, this is great, man. And it's like a grungy kind of, he put out 4 songs. I know he's way better musician than what's on there. Like, he could go off on the bass, but he simplified it. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta take an example from him and kind of simplify my stuff too, because I know I could do more, but like, just simplify it a little.
Yeah.
Put out something that's catchy. Look, I could write jingles. I'll write like jingles for, you know, every product out there, you know. Like, I could come up with something. And
right now is the best time. Like, you look at famous who pops right now is somebody that just has one thing. The rest of their stuff might be trash, but they had the one thing that just stuck, and it was the thing that you listen to and you're like, yo, this is it.
yeah.
And yeah, you might over listen to it, but
Hey, what was it? The guy who wrote "We Deserve a Break Today" at McDonald's was Barry Manilow. That's how he started his career.
Yeah?
He was writing jingles, and that's what he did. That was his first thing that broke him into it. So people don't want to hear these long songs, and they don't have time to hear it all. So like, the other thing is, I want to stick to like under 3 minutes, you know, and try to make because look at what TikTok has done to people.
Oh,
And-
the attention span of people these days is so short.
all
Yeah.
you need is one TikTok song to take off. And it's just a part of your whole song that nobody will ever hear the rest of, but that one little part.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that you put all whatever music you have up there. Like, if you put it on TikTok, I think you can make it as like
Remix it and all that
sounds
stuff,
for
yeah.
other people to use, and you never know. It could be like, oh, this song that was on the album has a funny line in it that you didn't really think about, but
Yeah.
now somebody on TikTok heard it and was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do TikTok. And the way TikTok's stupid because it's all people redoing the same videos. So it's like one person sees a funny video that maybe used your sound,
Yeah.
and then everybody else starts doing it with the same thing instead of being original. That's the
Yeah.
reason I don't like TikTok.
All right.
So there was a song that I made on the animation thing. It was called Chicken Wing, and somebody else had written it, like just a little rap, and then I made a song out of it, and it ended up on Fortnite somehow.
Huh?
Oh, shit.
You know the game Fortnite?
Yeah, yeah, kids love that.
Chicken wing, hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with my homies. Chicken wing. It just keeps going over and over.
Damn,
Sorry.
that's from you.
Can we cut-
I've definitely heard
You
that
play-
before.
Can we
I
cut-
I don't play it, but I've heard.
You've heard it?
Can we cut that off of this thing? Like, can we go back and rewind that and cut that off?
You don't want it?
Let me do it again. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, all right.
It's fine. But yeah, like, I was like, how the heck did that get out there? And then it said, hey, this was written by Fred Blankenburg. It really wasn't, though. Like, I kind of took it from somebody, but I made it into a song.
Mhm.
But it was somebody else's idea. But that's how stuff works.
Did you get
today.
paid for that Fortnite stuff?
No.
Ah,
Oh,
No, I
man.
don't even think they know who I am.
All
I
right,
don't
well,
know.
Fortnite, we're coming for
yeah,
you.
you owe us some money, man.
Oh,
well,
us.
Fred.
Oh,
I hate
Fred
that
money.
game.
Yeah.
That game is the worst, man. But they did some cool stuff where they had like like some recording artists would do a concert.
Yeah, they had
and
like
everybody
digital
in the game
concerts. Yeah.
would come and sit down on the in the game and watch it. Or
Yeah, my
something
kid
like
was
that.
watching it. I was like,
That was
what
a
are you
cool
doing?
idea.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Got to make the best of what you
So
can with
Metaverse is coming for all of us.
I guess.
It's like that. What was that book? about video games and stuff.
Oh, Player One.
Ready Player
Ready
One.
Player One.
Yeah.
I hadn't read a book in years, and I read that, and I was like, man, this is really cool. It was like a nod to all these old video games and old stuff, but then it was like this idea that someday, you're gonna have an avatar, and it's really happening, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you don't know who people really are online and stuff like that, but they might be like at home and it's really somebody. It's really a girl and pretending to be a guy or whatever.
Well, I mean, look, it's just when it's just face shots,
I mean, that's like rule number 13 of the internet. If they say they're a chick, it's a dude.
But I'll tell you, if I'm playing a game and somebody says they're a girl, everybody's like giving them attention. Like, oh my god, a girl that plays video games.
Yep.
This is great.
Embarrassing.
So I'm surprised that you play video games. I'm surprised you have any
love-
time for something like that.
I love video games. I played everything from the beginning, and that I have a Nintendo Switch right now, and I play that a lot. But it's the same kind of thing. Like there'll be a game, and I'm like, I can't play it because I know it's going to take all my time away. So I'm like, all right, I'll just keep it over here on my to-do list. Someday I'll play it. I'd rather play like the games that are over in like 5 minutes, and then start over, like old video games and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But like once I get into those like Zelda and I'm playing it for like a month or something like that, or what was the one Elder Scrolls? I was playing that. I turned into a vampire
in the game,
and then I was like, how the hell? Yeah, how am I gonna get turned back? And like I actually found something that said you have to go here at a certain time at night, and then you're going to get this thing, and you're going to talk to this guy, and then you can get your life back, And I was like, once I did that, I was like, that's very symbolic. I want my life back. This game is like, it was a
good game.
400 hours of time,
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to like I want to be entertained sometimes, but I'd rather be creating my own stuff. Like, I'll read a book, and I'm like, I'm going to write my own book, Stuff like that. I have a hard time, with attention deficit disorder or whatever. I don't know if I have the hyperactivity part, but I definitely have ADD, and I can get like totally focused into something. Like I said, I'll wake up, I'll start doing something, and then I look outside, and the sun's already going down. I'm like, where did the day go?
Yeah, but I think we need people like that, and I think right now is the best time for people like that. Because, I mean, our whole society's kind of like that. There are no longer, like, where you're going to have to fit in one of these pegs for the rest of your life for, what'd you say, 28 years of your life, and then you can do what you want. Now you can do what you want and make money and be really successful.
It's like my job was an interruption of what I was trying to do. It's like, I got to go to work. I got to put down my guitar, you know? It's like, now it's like, I can do whatever I want. And that's kind of scary in a way.
That's a theme I hear from a lot of retired people. I'm like, you've made it to the end of the game. This should be the happiest shit ever. And it's like, no, but it formed me those years formed me into this thing now. And now I'm free.
But also, you talk to retired people. I've never heard somebody that was like, you know what, retiring was the wrong move. I should have stayed and worked. Like, everybody that retires is like, yeah, I'm done with that. Like, I'm ready to retire.
I did the right thing.
Yeah.
But I did hear that they got a raise like right after I left, and I'm like, hey, can I still get that
there
raise?
Goes your salary.
They said, nah, that's only for people that stuck around. And I'm like, oh.
They said, finally, Fred's gone. We can afford to pay everybody else more.
Yeah.
He was sucking up the whole salary.
That's what happens when you're there that long. You keep getting raises, but then it turns out that you're making the same amount as the guy that just comes in.
Yep.
It's too bad. Anyway, yeah, I'm here. I'm an artist for hire. Hey, maybe that even includes writing jingles or theme songs. My dentist was like, "Can you write me a theme song for?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Hour and 20 to 30.
Wow.
Yeah. So that just blew by. But like we offer to everybody that comes in here, like this is, what did I say? Like 27th episode or something like that.
Yeah.
We plan on cycling through, because at this point we're gonna be hitting up people that we're almost at a year this summer of doing this. Which is crazy to think of.
It is pretty wild to think.
Wow.
So we're going to be talking to people, our friends and whatnot, a year later of our first time doing this, which I'm hoping we are a lot better at what we're doing, and they've got new stuff going on as well. So it's going to be super interesting going on. And then what we'll do with you is add you to the list of like,
Yeah,
all
well,
right, man,
I'd
here's
love
one
to
of our
come
people.
back.
If you ever want to come back, you're welcome. Just hit us up. We'll make time for you.
If you get
All right.
rich and you want to come on and come back to our podcast for some reason, more than welcome.
It all came from the podcast. Suddenly, the
Nah.
floodgates open, and I was doing all this work. You were
It was
like
50
that
some
lady
years in the
Grace.
making.
There's a podcast and TikTok. That's what's going to blow you up.
Yeah.
All right,
I
well,
appreciate you guys. This is great.
yeah, no problem. And
Thank
we'll
you so
link
much.
to everything you've got on the internet and what you want out there. And I think we didn't even, like you said, really even touch the surface. I mean, we just did a lot of rehashing and getting you out there and getting to know you. And
Yeah.
I think from there, next time we talk, I think there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
no problem.
problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody out there.
It was a good time
And this was another episode of the Expresslane
with Kevin Stan.
featuring Fred Blankenburg.
Bye.
Peace.
See you.